All right, welcome back to the Homeland Show. My name is Dean. Rico Rolando is also here. Liz Charles is
Yeah.
here, and our special guest, Kevin Storey. What's up, Kevin?
Peace. What's up, everyone? Hello.
How are you doing? Where are you in New Jersey or New York?
I'm actually in the Poconos, which is northeast Pennsylvania, about like 60 minutes south of like New York City.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Cool, man. That's dope. How has COVID-19 been treating you, man? I know it's been like a life changer for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It hasn't affected my day to day as much. You know what I mean? I've been telling people I've been on self quarantine for about 3 years now. Um, but it has impacted work. Whereas like I work with a few artists and we have to pivot and rethink our marketing strategies. For one client, Topaz Jones, we were working on his album and we planned a release for this summer, June 2020. And because of, COVID-19, Corona and shit, now we're looking to release in the fall. So that's not, people are dying and shit. So that's like really small, you know what I mean? And actually, it has like, this time made us like, take our time, whereas we would have been rushing to roll out, right? So now we have time to really check in and comb through our plan, you know what I mean? And that's what I've been doing personally too, kind of like, figuring out what I want to do, who the person I want to become, and just like sitting with myself.
Dope, dope. I like that. I like that you said that. I think everybody in this interview or in this group would agree with you. I think it's been a soul searching thing, man. And and with that said, like when Liz first said, like let's get on the phone with Kevin, let's talk with Kevin, let's do this Zoom interview with him. I went immediately and searched up one of your artists, Tropaz, and he's amazing, bro. The first track I listened to was Tropicana. That's my favorite so far.
Thank
That's a
you.
dope. That's a very, very, very
Yeah,
dope
that was
record.
fine.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So congratulations, sir, for having a fire artist. I think I'll pour out the first question first. Is like how, because I know as a manager, because I've done that myself. How do you select an artist? How do you say, man, I really want to rep with this artist. I really want to manage this artist.
Wow, that's a great question. For me, I guess I have to connect with with the artists themselves. I worked in music, so like I worked at a record label, just for context, and working with a label, you kind of like, I don't know, you see artists in abundance, right? But for me, it's about like Topak specifically. The way I started working with him is because I really really fucked with his approach and his vision. I fucked with his work ethic. Can I curse? Is it cool?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's free language in here. Yeah.
no filter.
Like the way he approached his career definitely connected with me, so I had to support him in that event. My second client was like, it's crazy, he's kind of like my nephew, and he is my nephew, right? And being my nephew and him knowing like what I've done and some of the things I've achieved, or even the knowledge I have, sometimes the easy route is kind of like, yo, I'm gonna do this because my uncle is gonna like look out and make it happen. So I was really careful of like, yo, if you want to do this, you gotta like pay your dues, and you gotta get it popping the same way I had to. You know what I mean? Because I don't, you know, I didn't have the same resources, so it's like, yo, we always gonna take care of our own, but at the same time, you gotta prove to yourself and like you really want this. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
lot of people feel like the music industry is like a really, really like my dog is here.
Oh,
A
I
lot of
like
people,
that.
the industry is like, you know what I mean? It's like you don't have to work. It's just like, yo, making music, but it is a craft. It is like you have to be dedicated to the journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't really look for artists to answer your question. It just kind of like came about. You know what I mean?
I love
But
that.
you can't be like anyone else. Like that's one thing gravitated to. I gravitate towards like the quote unquote left artists, alternative artists, people with new ideas, people with new sounds. You know what I mean? I'm very much a student of the game, so like if and it's not a shot, but I'm not interested in managing artists that rap like Quavo. You know what I mean? Or trying to be the next that. I deal with people who are individuals and want to like break the paradigm. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like people keep saying that they're not shooting shots on this show, and every day we get snipers.
It was an example of like, of what I wouldn't do. You know what I mean? If everybody's like something, I intentionally look away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like
and
that.
Sorry, Dan. Just and like with COVID-19 right now and what's happening, do you think it's like a good time for artists, especially new artists right now, like Topaz or like other artists that are just sort of hitting the features of getting people to notice them? Do you think it's a good time for them to release some music?
Possibly, right? So like I had this conversation with Topaz and his creative team yesterday. Because like it's kind of weird because people see this time as an opportunity to monopolize on people's attention. Right? So it's like, yo, let's flood the gates. Let's distract people. This is our time. Everybody's on the internet. Let's put something out. We need to do this. We need to do that. You know what I mean? And I've had like conversations with companies, and that's their approach. And no one's really talking about like, yo, how can we help the people? You know what I'm saying? Or how can it's crazy because like people are dying, and it feels kind of weird when you're like, yo, listen to my album. You know what I'm you know what I'm saying? While
True.
People are like, yo, people are dying. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like life does go on, and like, music and entertainment, it's just it is a business, and it is artist livelihood. But I would just like challenge artists. You can use this time to gain more listeners and more fans, but I would challenge them to think about how you're using this time. You know what I'm saying? And the message you want to put out. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to exploit or be another person adding to the noise. There's a lot of noise right now. You feel me? So
Amen.
There's a ton of noise right now. And I think that that's part of the consideration that's complicated for all of us who are content creators. It's like, how do we balance taking the time, being sensitive, and putting out what our creative work is, but at the same time, it's that much more competitive if everybody has the same idea. Everybody's like, oh, this is an opportunity for me. It's just flooded. Really quickly, Kev, just because you're the homie, but I would love for you to just give everybody your background real quick so that they know exactly who you are, what you do, what your specialty is, why people show up when you throw on a party. Like, just give them the down low.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Kevin Storey. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
And I work in entertainment. Right now, I have my own consultancy. It's called Mal Creative Projects, and under that consultancy, I consult and manage 2 clients right now. One, Topaz Jones, an incredible artist. He has that song Tropicana that you spoke of. And Yo Quelly, who's phenomenal as well. Prior to launching my own consultancy, I did the whole label thing. I worked at Epic Records. I consulted for Capitol Records. Epic Records, I got like a lot of experiences, a lot of my experience and resources. They gave me so much at that time, and I helped launch the careers of Travis Scott, Future, Yo Gotti, Bobby Shmurda. You know what I'm saying? I was in there for all of those things and contributed so much to them. So at Epic, I did like lifestyle marketing. I connected artists to brands. You know what I mean? One of the big partnerships I've done was I did this crazy Rocksmith collab with Yo Gotti. I took Bobby Shmurda and Yo Gotti to like, we had a Life backyard session, which is like this really cultural event in this small. So A Life is this streetwear store in New York City, really on the pulse of the culture. So what I like to do is like, I like to create small, amazing experiences for like. I like to create amazing experiences for a small group of people. You know what I'm saying? And it's so fire that like people have to talk about it. And then like it has this psychological effect where like not everybody could get in. So like now if you like missed out, you're more inclined to go to the next one. So instead of going scaling bigger, I always try to like bring it in closer. You know what I'm saying? That's how I approach even managing artists. And instead of making everybody like trying to pitch music to everybody, I go the opposite direction to bring people in closer. You know what I'm saying? So that like informs my philosophy of how I work and how I see the world. And what led me to music was like Liz said, was me throwing parties. I started throwing parties in college, Temple University in Philadelphia. And my first party, it was so crazy. The way I got, it's crazy how I got started throwing parties. So when I went to Temple, I found out I had a cousin that went to Temple. He was an upperclassman. He was a junior when I was a freshman. So like my first college party, I never paid for parties. I got in. I ain't know the dudes at the door. Anything. I'm from Brooklyn. You know how New Yorkers are. I go to the door and I'm like, yo, Paris my cousin. That's all I said. I ain't know if he knew Paris or whatever. It was like, Paris your cousin? I was like, yeah, Paris my cousin. And then they let me in for free. And then that was the thing. And then like everybody at Temple assumed that I knew where to go or what was going on. And I never did. So people were like, yo, what's going on tonight? What's this? What's that? What's the move? You know what I'm saying? And I never had like, I was like, yo, why is everyone coming to me? And then it clicked in my head that I should throw a party. But prior to that, the homies was throwing parties. They were called A+ International, right? And they actually went to Drexel and UPenn. They went to Drexel. So in Philly is like one of those college cities. It's different size of Philly, and it's mad university. You have Temple University, you have Drexel, you have UPenn, you have
it's like Boston. Like there's a ton of them. Yeah.
Schools, right? So the homies at Drexel, they would throw parties, right? And then the whole city would come out, right? And when we linked together, we were the only like party group that had like every school come out. You know what I mean? So that was a layup. And the way that happened was somebody was on my campus passing out their flyers, but I actually knew them because they one of the dudes went to school with my cousin Paris, high school with my cousin Paris. So they was passing out the flyers, and these was like the flyest dudes I ever met. Ade, he was from Nigeria, so he had that pride about him. They were wearing like the first one to wear like fitted / skinny jeans. It wasn't like skinny jeans, it was like fitted at the time, but slim jeans when everybody's wearing baggy. They were the first one wearing bait when everybody was wearing Rockaware, you know what I'm saying? So they were trendsetters. So, and they were older than me, and I admired their style, so I always looked up to them. And somebody was passing out flyers on the campus, and they give me a flyer, and it was like, yo, they were dressed in, the person passing out the flyer were in pajamas. It wasn't the best look because I know these dudes, and they like, yo, BMWs, all of that. And then I get a flyer from this person dressed in pajamas on campus. I was like, yo, bro. So I called them up. I called the homie up. I was like, yo, bro, you know, like, who's passing out flyers on the campus? And they was like, nah. And I told them the situation. And they was like, yo, we need you down with us. And so I held them down for that party, like passing out flyers. You know what I'm saying? And then like, yo, the next party, right? It was like 5 of us, and we put up $250 each to throw the party, right? That was our cost of expenses. So our total investment was like what, 1,250. You know what I mean? Yo, so the party started at 10 o'clock, right? And at this party, right, it was so nuts because like the party started at 10. We had a line at 9 o'clock, and this party was at Marathon Grill. So Marathon Grill was like in the center city, right? It was like this like very fancy restaurant. It was all glass. And at the time, like, yo, we're in college throwing parties at these crazy venues like in the city. You know what I mean? Nobody was throwing parties at Marathon Grill. And it was so many people, right? The party started at 10 o'clock. We had a line at 9, right? 10 o'clock comes. So many people come. We reached capacity, and now more people trying to get in the party, right? So like the fire marshal came. The party gets shut down at 11 o'clock. So
it seemed like some Project X X stuff that definitely happened.
it was the party got shut. So we had an hour, like 1 hour of partying, like 1 hour partying, and we made so much money. And then I was like, wow, like that was the quickest flip I ever like experienced in my life. And from that, I was like, I'm just gonna throw parties. Like I don't need school. I don't need.
Yeah.
It was bad because like the next joint, I think I lost money. Cause you think like when it's your first experience, right?
Yeah.
Like a high level of success the first time you do something, like that could be detrimental to you. You know what I'm saying? Because it informs your perspective, and you kind of think that's what's gonna happen every time. It's like a high. Like you reach the highest point. You ain't go through you didn't have to work for it. You know what I'm saying? So, and it took me a minute to kind of like balance it out. You know what I'm saying? But it actually winning or hitting that, like getting that to that moment where we had this crazy party, and then taking some losses on the party side too. Like I lost money as well. You know what I'm saying? It informed my perspective. So like when I moved back to New York City, I kind of like saw the game and stuff. And at the time you had it was like a bottle service culture, right? Which is kind of, to me, is outdated. It's like, you know what I mean? It's wild. So to get into these establishments, you had to have models. You know, the quintessential, you know, what you call those dudes? Security guards at the door with the
Bouncers.
Bouncers and stuff. And they're
like the whole entourage and stuff like that.
Exactly, is a filtering process. So to get into the spots, you have to spend a lot of money to buy tables, or you have to like come in with like a group of women. You know what I'm saying? Like models. And then like in some spots, clubs had like dress codes. You know what I'm saying? So like if you was a dude, you have to look a certain way. That your women had to look a certain way, and it was like, to me, it was just like so corny. So I was like, yo, it's that opportunity to flip the script. And when I actually went into these parties, right? So they have this filtering space, this filter that doesn't allow you to get in the space, right? Cool. Like, yo, you don't fit this type. You can't come in here, right? Or if you want to come in here, you gotta buy bottles, right? Cool. Then once you enter the space, right, you finally get to the space and you realize, oh shit, this is what it is. It was so corny. Nobody is having fun. Everyone's just watching people. You know what I'm saying? So I took that as an opportunity to change the culture. And I started surprise party. So surprise party was like no dress code, no bottle service. We played like, yo, so back then it was like no fitteds, no. I used to wear hats. So like, yo, why are you telling me what to wear? You know what I'm saying? So the party was like, yo, be who you are, come have fun, and guess what? You got to dance. It was like a real dance party, and that kind of grew. And then that party went from New York. Then we went to different cities. We went to DC with it. We went to LA with it. We did one in Cannes, France for the film festival. It was just like traveling. And out of that, like, came other parties, Trap Karaoke, Do Say Palooza, like all these parties kind of like follow that kind of that model. Not and there were other parties around too, like Grits and Biscuits. They were doing their thing the same time we were doing our thing. Vashti had a party. Like she was doing her thing, 1992. It was a lot of people doing their thing on the party front. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope because it's like it's so many different people right now where like they just have parties just so people can just stand around and not really,
Yeah.
like dance or anything like what your parties are basically doing. And sometimes I think within our own culture, like we have that sort of like stuck up mentality where we're not going to be the first ones to do anything, so we'll just chill in the corner in the room. And I think that's super dope that you're just changing that whole format.
So like for the surprise party, I think it was like I wanted to create a party that wasn't about the celebrities and shit, right? So like they would promote a lot of like appearances. So like, yo, we got Fab coming through. Yeah, you got to come through. We're gonna charge you $30. So I wanted to brand the party itself, and I guess the theme of it was like creating this experience within a party where you have to tell your friends. Like, and I thought about like some of my craziest moments in New York City or just in living. It's like a series of moments, and I wanted to create a party that reflected that. So we would have different, like I would plan different things, different performances and stuff within the surprise party just to keep it interesting. And one of my parties made it to World Star Hip Hop. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's fire.
It sounds like he's doing like a whole Diddy parties, man, which I really like. Like, can you answer? Because I know that our time is going to be winding down very soon. It hasn't given the countdown yet for that 10 minutes mark. But like, I always like to ask people this, and I haven't asked in a while. Like, if somebody was, going to write your biography book, like, what would you want it to be about? Like, how would you want them to represent you? Like, how would you want your name to stand out? Because we hear about a lot of artists and a lot of entertainers and people that work as entrepreneurs and creativity and writers, and you look at their story and you know exactly who they are. Like if I say Russell Simmons, everybody can have a word to say about Russell Simmons. We say Diddy, we know one word that describes Diddy. How would you want people to describe you, man?
Oh man, as like a free thinker, you know what I mean? That's a great question. Free thinker, like the one who was like outside of the box, you know what I mean? Left to center, someone who has honor, integrity, you know what I mean? I think that's important. And someone who like live by the code and his codes, right? And sometimes we have experiences that informs like who you are too, you know what I mean? And that like you by making mistakes, you kind of like learn who you are, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, I just try to keep it 100 all like in all areas, you know what I mean? But that not in a cliche way, but having that true honesty, like with yourself, you know what I'm saying? That's like difficult. It can be difficult because you have to be honest with yourself, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes when you that honest with yourself, you don't always like, it's not always pretty, you know what I'm saying? When you that honest with yourself, but that's something, even when I said I've been in self-quarantine for 3 years, that's a part of that process, like looking in the mirror and keeping it 100 with yourself and dealing with yourself. And then, moving on, you know what I mean? Building yourself.
Can you tell me what you think has been maybe the best part and the worst part of going from working within a label system to being independent and deciding to manage artists independently?
Cool. So the worst part, right? I think I don't even know if this is the worst part, but the biggest difference for me is like that consistent stream of income, right? So like when I was there, I worked at Epic Records. I had a salary. I had a T&E expense account, which means we could go out, we'll buy bottles, drinks, dinner, all that, and it's all on not me, but on the company. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of good nights. So transitioning, working for myself, I'm more conscious of like how money is spent and what money is spent on. So like I'm less frivolous in that way. And like, yo, just sometimes you gotta make decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like my lifestyle changed. You know what I'm saying? Where I was like going in and out the spots, buying 30, 40 shots for people. You know what I'm saying? Being a quote unquote the man. You know what I'm saying? Which I look like the man, but at the end of the day, I wasn't a man. It wasn't even coming out of my pocket, so I wasn't really doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? I was posturing and posing as someone else. But now, representing myself, I am who I am, right? So, in a label, at the label, I would have to. It's a hierarchy, right? And government is a hierarchy. And in companies, corporations, a hierarchy, right? So you could be talented, you could have these amazing ideas, right? But you have to be aware of the political backlash. A lot of people may be shaken up by your intelligence or just you being who you are, right? Like people can be attracted to you, or you naturally could be a great person, right? But someone else may be offended by those kind of relationships. And those are some of the things I experienced. So now when I speak on behalf of myself, I speak on the behalf of my clients, and there's I don't have to pass these conversations on. Like people don't have to like belittle. I'm no longer belittle. Like literally, yo, have an idea, reach out to people, and people be like, yo, I'll take it from here. You know what I mean? So I don't deal with that. So like I'm directly linked in with Netflix. Like we talking to them. Directly linked in with like fashion brands like Xenia, you know what I mean? They talking to me, I'm talking to them. And this is how I talk to people. I speak to people like this. I look like this, you know what I'm saying? I got a hand tattoo, you feel me? I'm from Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Yo, I'm free to be myself, whereas, you know, in a company, you have the company culture that you're also pushing up against, right? So it's like, you know, people like us, right? Within this company, this is how we are, and you have to fit within that construct to exist. And I'm like natural. Like I don't like constructs. I like freedom. You know what I mean? I want to be free.
I know.
Yeah, it is, man. So Kevin, that's Kevin Storey on the Homeland Show. This is episode 4. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. We got like 8 minutes left. We don't want to make you disappear right now. We just kind of want you to kind of like give, I don't know. We always do this at the show. Like give some form of advice to people that are listening to the show right now on how to be relevant in whatever they're doing, like how to be seen.
How to be relevant? That's a great question. I don't know if I can answer that. I mean, I think it's like, what is relevance? And I'm very philosophical, so you got to answer that for yourself. What does relevance mean for you? You know what I mean? But the advice I will give is like knowledge, right? So like knowing and learning about whatever you're doing. So if I want to, like for me, right, I had this I wanted to be this like art dealer, you know what I'm saying? And I linked up with an art dealer. I spoke to him. I learned as much as I can. And then like, yo, he sent me out there and I was trying to sell art, right? And yo, I was literally about to get a Picasso off. You heard? Like, no, not a Picasso, an Andy Warhol print off. And like a couple times that deal fell through and that deal fell through. And I was like, yo, what's going on? But I was coming in the game and I didn't know. I thought I knew a lot coming from music, but I didn't really know. It's a whole different game, right? So you got to learn the game. You gotta be a student of the game. So whatever you want to do, you got to read the books. Like I work in music. I'm still reading. You know what I'm saying? I read. I talk to people. You know, I know what's going on. So that's the advice I would give people.
What's your favorite book right now?
My favorite book that I'm reading currently, or like
currently, like the book that you would say 2019/2020 is the must read.
Well, this came out a long time ago, but for me, it's like Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, like his biography. I'm super inspired by Steve Jobs. He's like it's like this book is like 500 pages. I'm looking at it right now. I'm almost done. It took me about 2 years to read, but Steve Jobs is a G. Like he believed that when someone believes themselves so much or believes in something so much, like it's so crazy. It's kind of like, yo, like all you need is that will, that belief, and then like everything you want will manifest. but you got to have that belief, right? And like the world tests your beliefs. It tests who you are. And then it's like, yo, do you really believe what you believe? And how bad do you believe it? And that's something I could share with Topaz, right? We had this conversation, how like, you know, we operate independently, you know what I'm saying? And during the independence, right? We're doing good, but we're like, yo, we need like more resources just to build it up, take it to the next level. Naturally, someone may think a record label, right? Sign it to a record label. So we know the deal we wanted and we know the deal we deserve. And people were like, yo, you can't get that. You can't get that. You're not going to find that. You feel me? So we turned down deals. Like, you know, we turned down deals. They offering us, nah, we want this. We want this. We want this. And like, we finally, you know, are at a spot to get what we want. Like, you just got to believe in yourself. You'll get everything you want. Word up.
It is, man.
I just want to say this real quick because people may not know this, but like I know some of the deals that you turned down, and these are like name record labels. These are like you like, nah, they changed something in the contract last minute. We out.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It's a lot of labels. I won't throw no shades, but
Yeah, please don't. Thank you.
And then it's like, yo, it's just like what. It's frustrating where we can't be real with ourselves, right? So I could have a conversation with you and we have an understanding, right? And then a contract come in, it's like, yo, this is not what we talked about. To me, that's just frustrating.
That's happened a lot of times, and I know Rico can testify to that, and so many other people in music, just in general, just like in going to any part of music. It could be before you even got signed. It could be with just a manager. Doesn't matter who he is, man. We've all seen those type of deals, and big props to you for being a bigger man for saying no. That's not.
Yeah, that's a practice. Sometimes we all have to practice more.
Most definitely. Kevin, I hope we get to talk to you and connect with you again. We really appreciate you. Rico, Liz, I'm going to give you the floor just in case there's anything you want to say before the show ends. But I just want to say thank you to my brother Kevin again. I hope it's not the last time we get to connect.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It was super informative, especially at the end. You gave incredible advice to our audience. So special shout out for you for definitely joining the show today. Also, guys, don't forget to wash your hands, stay inside, stay indoors, don't get locked up this weekend, and be kind.
It is.
Yeah, and as a last statement for me, Kev didn't mention it, but he is someone who reads some feminist literature every now and then. So make sure you pick up a book and get to reading some feminist literature while you're in quarantine. Have a good one, K-Man.
All right, man. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Peace, y'all.
Thanks.